The biometric clock-in system was introduced as one innovative way to check absenteeism and correct the flaws in the system. Richard Bright looks at how this impacts on overall output of workers.
So this is a typical clock-in system. The fingerprints of all the workers of a particular company are captured and stored in here. And so all that is required of workers is that when you report in, you place a finger on the small scanner provided here, and then the machine captures your fingers, indicating that you are present or you have reported to work. But how does this contribute to productivity? The Ghanaian worker is noted for poor time attitude and absenteeism. This is prevalent in the civil service. The biometric clock-in terminal came in to ensure employee attendance and the accurate tracking of hours worked, replacing the laborious manual attendance book. The system has been operational in many companies in Ghana for over a decade now. But many argue the system does not impact on productivity. One of such people is David Mills, a human resource consultant.
It serves a purpose, but it does not directly translate into employee productivity, because there are many factors that impact productivity beyond clocking in at 8 and exiting at 5 or 6.
Interestingly, many find both the manual attendance system and the biometric fingerprint as unnecessary. This is because it is easy for recalcitrant employees to report to work and pretend to be working all day until it is time to leave.
Okay, I think in absence of that, people will not be, they can choose to come to work or not. Okay, so it's for punctuality is good. Okay, but for productivity, there's a bit of problem.
If you don't do that, workers will swindle you. They will come in late and then they will leave early.
The HR consultant believes the performance contract is often preferred by many employers to check these flaws. Tied to the biometric clock-in system is cost. TV3 checks at the market indicates a company needs to dish out between 2,000 and 4,000 Ghana cedis to procure one device. Backup batteries cost 600 Ghana cedis, whilst installations attract between 300 and 1,000 cedis. The government in 2014 directed all metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies to install clock-in system. Evidence on the ground shows most assemblies are without the device. There is presently 37 ministries, excluding those recently created, but TV3 checks indicate most of them do not have the clock-in system, including the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, creating a fertile ground for absenteeism. Government workers still write in attendance books, but the Office of the Head of Civil Service has a clock-in system, and the director in charge of planning and monitoring says all the ministries have individual work schedules to monitor their levels of productivity.
When we talk about productivity, we are looking at people coming to work and delivering on set targets or whatever assignments that they have been tasked to do.
Government has promised it is seeking an innovative mode of linking productivity to salaries of all public and civil servants. But until that happens, many workers will report to work late and leave office early before closing time. Richard Brightado, TV3, Accra.
Right, so let's check on the effectiveness of this clock-in system, whether it is to check productivity or it is to check latecomers or people to prevent people from coming too late. And so Dr. Eric Osai is a local government expert, and he has joined us by Skype. Doc, good evening and thank you for your time.
Good evening.
Right, so I'm sure this issue, you're very familiar with it. So looking at the clock-in system, what is its impact on productivity?
Thank you very much. The clock-in system can have an impact on productivity only when we are able to improve supervision and hold supervisors responsible. Because somebody can come in, clock in at 8:30, sit and do virtually nothing, and clock out at 5 p.m. Now, if you don't have a supervisor who himself or herself is also being held accountable from systems outside the organization, it will be extremely difficult for you to link up the clock-in system with productivity. So what we need to do is that in as much as we introduce the clock-in system, we have to step up supervision. And stepping up supervision does not mean only internally. There should be an external body, like the Office of Head of Civil Service or the Public Services Commission, that would develop a system that would receive daily feedback reports on the performance of civil servants on a daily basis. I would recommend that before monthly salaries are processed, we should be able to receive reports on performance and the targets of each and every civil servant from the ministry before their salaries are processed. If we are able to do that, then we'll be able to link performance to the payment of salaries, and then we'll derive maximum benefit from the clocking system.
Doc, are you calling for a synchronization between pay and productivity, like we should know what you have done and whether you deserve to be paid that salary at the end of the month?
Definitely. We are calling for an input-output analysis that would ensure that the performance of civil servants commensurates the salaries that have been paid them. Now, if we are not able to do that, then it means the taxpayer would suffer, because people will pretend to be working, and government will also be pretend to be paying them, which is not the best of things to be done. If we compare the system to the private sector person wants to be sure that you account for the 8 hours, you will be able to show what you have been able to produce or the services you've rendered before you are paid. But in the public service, that is not it. The most important thing is you show up, and that is all. Whether you render service or not, it's another matter. That is why it will take time, or it will take forever for people to get their passports. That is why people go to license office and their licenses delayed. That is why people apply for building permits and they don't get it on time. That is why people go and apply for land titles. They don't get it on time. But if we fix performance, or we test performance against the payment of salaries, I'm sure people will sit up. It is not only the clock-in system. Once you can clock in, and without appropriate and adequate supervision, people will not perform.
Right, Doc. Finally, people have expressed fear that in this era when governments want to create a lot of jobs, and we already know there are people who loiter about in the civil service without doing anything. Are you not calling for a layoff of more people if this system should be adopted?
No, I'm calling for an injection of discipline in the performance of public service workers. I'm even calling for a 24/7 public service where people will go to work day and night so that we can have a night shift. So they will be able to provide services on the spot so that business registration can be done within 24 hours. Licenses can be issued within 48 hours. There and then we'll get people working. But it all boils down to supervision. Even with the current system without a clock-in, clock-out system. If we are able to step up supervision, I can tell you that productivity will increase. Currently, productivity in the public service is very low. Attitude is bad. And people will just have to sit up because supervision is weak. So I'm calling for a supervision. I'm calling for government to strengthen the performance management system so that people can perform, and then we can link up performance with payment of salaries.
All right, Dr. Eric Osai, we kind of share your opinion. We'll see if this will lead to more productivity if the system is actually implemented. We're grateful for your time. Thank you for speaking to us.
All right, don't forget that we're live on DSTV channel 279. You can always get interactive with us via social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram. Let's do some more stories. And the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has vowed to work towards ensuring all bottlenecks hindering the smooth acquisition of passports in Ghana are dealt with. Shirley Ayokor-Botwe, who paid an unannounced visit to the passport offices in Accra, revealed government's resolve to review the duration of the expiration of passports from 5 to 10 years.
The Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shirley Ayokor-Botwe, first visited the validation section of the Accra Passport Acquisition Office to find out at first-hand processes of passport acquisition.
Each person will go through 8 or 10 people. Vetting process.
We have brought it, we'll treat it 100 for you. Okay. You understand? Okay. But once you bought 50, we would accept it. That's the minimum.
The minister then interacted with some applicants.
The problem right now is the waiting time and the time you have to get here to be able to make the first 100.
She then proceeded to the capturing section.
When somebody comes, what happens? There's one person there. What do you do?
At the online application center, the process appeared to be calmer as applicants were going through the processes more smoothly. At the collection center, the minister had to personally intervene to collect a passport for an applicant who has applied for the past 4 months. The minister later visited the passport office at Ridge, where the pressure was less. She interacted with some workers at the office.
What is your capacity per day?
2,000. Printing.
The printer takes 2,000 per
day.
But according to the manufacturers, if we print 2,000 every day, it will break down.
Here, the minister again had to ensure 35-year-old applicant Charity Hinka got her passport after facing challenges since she applied in December. The minister said in order to ensure a timely acquisition of passport, will decentralize the process.
We should have more than one in Accra. So we are opening Eastern Region and once we open these two, we will be left with 3 packs, which is Central Region, Upper East and Upper West. We have one in Tamale. In addition to that, we are looking at working with VFS to collect, be the front-end service to collect the data and then send it to a place like this to have it verified and then printed.
The Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration said the expiration period of passport acquisition will also be worked on.
I know that we are probably the only country that is printing passport with a duration of 5 years. It was as a short temporary measure, interim measure. We are going to go back to the 10 years, and that I can show Ghanaians so that you don't have to go through too many problems within short period.
Shirley Ayoko-Boche promised government's resolve to ensure laid down processes in passport acquisition in the country are adhered to.
And President Akufo-Addo says government will partner labor to promote an effective and efficient labor force to enhance national development. Swearing in a 7-member board of the National Labour Commission at the Jubilee House, the president charged them to be neutral and impartial in resolving disputes at the labor front.
All times. Well and truly.
Well and truly. President Akufo-Addo charged the 7-member board chaired by Andrew Kwabena Asamoah to ensure sanity and tranquility on the labor front to enhance productivity and growth.
You have been chosen to discharge these functions because of your impartiality and integrity. Do not disappoint your well-wishers, which includes me. You have to familiarize yourself with all the details and the rules of procedure that are set out in the regulations, and make sure that at all times you work in conformity with these provisions. That is what will guarantee the credibility of any decisions and awards that you make in the discharge of your functions.
Board Chairman of the National Labour Commission, Andrew Kwabena Asamoah, promised to ensure a united labour front.
I pledge that the Commission will do its utmost to ensure that the government, the labour force, and all other stakeholders will work assiduously to sustain a peaceful and harmonious relationship.
The President would administer.
And now to our MTN video report. Our citizen journalist Thomas Kudivo reports on how watermelon sellers use unhygienic water to wash the fruits at the Anya market in Accra.
This is Yao Tom, and I am reporting from Academy Junction just after the Anya market here in Accra. What you see in the videos is really going on and is perhaps being replicated all over the city. The watermelon hawkers pick up their fruits from the pile on the ground. They dip it very briefly in that tiny basin of water, then slice it up, arrange the slices nicely, and they are ready for consumption. Same basin, same water, for dozens of watermelons. The implications for public health are obvious. Question is, what are the authorities doing about this?
Or you can also send your video via WhatsApp number 0551 433 044 0551 433 0044.
Thank you, Solis. Well, we don't know if the rains have actually set in, but there's some kind of cool weather. But let's check out the weather report. We'll see what will happen in the next 24 hours.
You're still watching News 360 live from our studios here at Adesanwe. We'll take a quick breather. We'll return shortly with more news after this. Do stay.
Mrs. Benedicta Foley, the headmistress of Pope John Senior High School, established in 1958, is 60 years old and needed a facelift before the celebration. We wrote to a number of companies and Deluxe Paint came to our aid. Thank you, Deluxe Paint, for making Pojos glow. Vela Damos, we set sail.
New Deluxe acrylic paint with silver cover, better quality and durability.
I love football. Football can be a dirty game, on or off the pitch. Even when I'm trying to score at a party, stains find a way of tracking me down. But I don't worry at all, because I have Cleansoft. Use new Cleansoft 360 Deep Clean, a unique formula with active ingredients and enzymes that gets rid of all stubborn stains and leaves your clothes smelling wonderful. Cleansoft, my favorite. Cleansoft 360 Deep Clean, clean all.
The Business News segment is brought to you by MTN, Universal Merchant Bank.
You're still watching News 360. Good evening to you and thanks for staying with us. Time for business. I am Nanikria Mensah Brampa. Beginning with tonight, the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has vowed to work towards ensuring all bottlenecks hindering the smooth acquisition of passports in Ghana are dealt with. Now, Shelley Ayoko-Boche, who paid an unannounced visit to the passport office in Accra, revealed government's resolve to review the duration of the expiration of passports from 5 to 10 years. Right, so we would look at some more stories on the business front tonight. And the Bank of Ghana says it has not taken over the powers and responsibilities of Sovereign Bank as was in the case of Unibank. Now, a statement from the central bank following media reports that the regulator had taken over the bank clarified that an advisor, unlike an official administrator, does not take over the powers, responsibilities and duties of the bank's shareholders, directors or management.
The Sovereign Bank was licensed by the Bank of Ghana as a universal bank in January 2016. As part of its supervisory functions, the Bank of Ghana completed an on-site examination of the bank in December 2017. The outcome of the on-site examination revealed some governance and capitalization challenges which needed to be addressed. The Bank of Ghana has a range of powers under the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act of 2016, Act 930, to take prompt remedial action to address supervisory concerns it identifies in a regulated institution. One of such powers is to appoint an advisor under Section 101(1) of Act 930 that will advise an institution's management. Consequently, and in accordance with Section 101(1) of Act 930, the Bank of Ghana appointed an advisor in April 2018 to advise the management of Sovereign Bank Limited. The central bank said the advisor is expected to help monitor the bank's recapitalization efforts and implementation of governance reforms agreed with the Bank of Ghana. Sovereign Bank is as a result of continuous engagements that they had with officials of the bank over a long period of time. And from what we gather, this particular decision was taken just around the same time the central bank decided to take over the operations of Unibank. We'll keep an eye on the situation and bring you a lot more detail. The advisor will stay in the bank until otherwise advised by the Bank of Ghana and will furnish the Bank of Ghana with a status report on the bank as frequently as the Bank of Ghana requires. Officials of the bank were not readily available to speak on the developments. However, the statement from the Bank of Ghana stated that it is important to note that an advisor, unlike an official administrator, does not take over the powers, responsibilities, and duties of the bank's shareholders, directors, or management. It further assured depositors and customers of Sovereign Bank that the bank remains under the control of the bank's own management and that customers' deposits are safe.
Right, so in subsequent bulletins, we'll give you a breakdown of really what is happening and what more the regulator has to say. Let's talk energy now, and Meralco's first engagement as a hands-on energy player abroad has hit a snag. Now, this is because Chinese firm BXC, which lost out in the bidding process to partner the Electricity Company of Ghana, has sued the Millennium Development Authority, MIDA.
The Millennium Development Agency, which leads the concession process, named Meralco the preferred bidder for a contract to manage, operate and invest in the Electricity Company of Ghana. MIDA chose Meralco for having, according to them, the highest combined technical and financial score. MIDA, however, confirmed that losing bidder, led by BXC Company Ghana Limited, had taken the agency to court. Chinese firm BXC says its loss to another bidder was, quote, arbitrary and without basis. BXC, a seasoned power industry contractor in Ghana, was reportedly disqualified due to potential conflict of interest, considering it had prior contracts with ECG. With a suit against MIDA pending in court, the concession process has been stopped. Following Ghanaian law, Meralco has partnered with a local entity and is allowed to have a maximum equity share of 30% in the partnership.
And talking about the level of confidence in businesses, well, not too encouraging, because business confidence for the first quarter of this year has declined marginally as compared to that of the last quarter of 2017. Now, that's according to the Association of Ghana Industries, the AGI Barometer. And President of the Association, Dr. Yao Edujemfi, says even though the first quarter of this year saw some positive signs, including a good mix of the macroeconomic indicators, the confidence seems to be declining.
According to the report released by the AGI Business Barometer in the first quarter, 47% of businesses across the country saw high electricity tariffs as the #1 difficulty. The next challenges were cost and access to credit. According to the AGI President, Dr. Yao Edujemfi, businesses came under pressure from high electricity tariffs in the first quarter of 2018 prior to the reduction of electricity tariffs by the PURC.
Electricity tariff reduction. AGI welcomes the recent announcement of reductions of electricity tariff and commends the government for this bold step. The 25 to 30% reduction in tariff has brought some relief to industry and non-residential customers, especially where the consumer had experienced such significant reduction in a long while.
According to the Chief Executive Officer of AGI, Seth Chuma Kwabwa, business confidence level recorded was good, though it dropped from 107.9 to 100.5 comparing 2017 to 2018.
It is really not new that for a first quarter
the index is dropping. The second quarter will be very interesting. If it drops again, then we really need to be careful that, and especially if it drops below the red line. Fortunately today, it's not below the red line, it's above the red line, so the confidence level is good.
The National Council of AGI is optimistic that the reduction of electricity tariffs will open up to new prospects for businesses and inure to our competitiveness as a country.
All right, so that will do for the business segment tonight. There's more on 3news.com. My name is Nanikia Mensah Brampa, and Isa is standing by with more.
Thank you, Nanikia. Let's do some more stories tonight. And the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has reinstated with immediate effect the suspended Upper West Regional Minister Alhassan Suleiman. This follows the completion of police investigations into the attack on the Upper West Regional offices of the National Disaster Management Organization in Wa, which led to the suspension. President Akufo-Addo's decision is formed by police investigations for which a report dated 22nd February 2018 was submitted to the President, after which a thorough assessment of the report was undertaken. A statement signed by Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, said the report exonerates the regional minister from any wrongdoing. The statement added that 9 persons who are alleged to have been responsible for the criminal action have been arraigned before court for prosecution. Right. On this issue, let's speak to Edem Senanu, and he is a co-chair, Citizens Movement Against Corruption, and he's going to speak to us through phone. Hello, Edem. Good evening, and welcome to NEWS360.
Good evening to you, sir.
Right. This is a very interesting issue. So my first question to you would be, should government make public the outcome of police investigations beyond its official statement?
Absolutely. I think that we ought to be developing for ourselves practices that ensure that the confidence of the citizenry is constantly assured. And one of the ways to do that is to ensure that when we have such public circumstances and situations, reports of committees of investigations are put in the public space, so all of us are clear in our minds what transpired and how come someone has been exonerated. I think it is very critical that the presidency makes available that report, even as we look forward to having the right to information bill passed and available for all of us.
I mean, does it really matter that there should be full disclosure? Must we not trust the minister that he's been exonerated and he's clean?
No, I don't think that it's not an issue of trusting. I think that we did not elect the president thinking that he would make the wrong decisions and choices. However, as a matter of transparency and accountability, in a world where public issues and facts are allowed to be out there so that everybody can be informed and guarantee that we know that this is exactly what transpired. It takes nothing away from the presidency if they put this out there. And indeed, it rather builds the confidence of citizenry in what the presidency and the government is doing.
Right, and finally, a statement by the presidency indicated 9 persons had been arraigned for prosecution after allegedly being involved in the offense. You think it's a step in the right direction?
Yes, I mean, definitely anytime people are held accountable for things that they've done or omissions that have come across, that actually allows us to know that government is working, supervision is going on, and people are supervising what happens. That's a good step. But we still require that government gets into the practice of making available all the reports of investigations that are done.
Right. Edem Senanu is the co-chair, Citizens Movement Against Corruption, and we are grateful he joined us on NEWS360 tonight.
Well, let's do some other stories. And the Youth Employment Agency, the YEA, is to post 15,000 community protection personnel to various communities across the country. They have received 3 weeks of training in criminal intelligence and traffic management from the Ghana Police Service. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who spearheaded the program, is confident their recruitment will reduce crime in the communities.
Dr. Muhammad Baumia was elated about the measurable contributions of the YEA management for training the personnel. They are to serve as community protection personnel to assist operations of the Ghana Police Service. The Vice President is confident their recruitment will address the unemployment situation in the country.
It is expected that this program will improve the police to citizen ratio of the country. Beneficiaries of the program have been selected across the country to assist the police in this regard. We expect that the program will help reduce the crime levels in the country.
He again recalled government's policies which have so far propelled growth in the economy.
We've established the Zongo Development Fund. We've established development authorities. One village, one dam will be launched in a few weeks. We have doubled the capitation grant. We have established the Office of the Special Prosecutor for Corruption, digital property addressing system. And this month, the National Identification Card system will be rolled out.
Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Ignatius Bafo-Ewua, spoke about rolling out new job opportunities for the youth in the coming months.
The agency, in collaboration with the National Vocational Training Institute, NVTI, will resume the Trades and Vocations model. This model will be accompanied by an artisan directory which will serve as a platform and virtual store for trained craftsmen and women to ply their trade.
In all, 15,000 community protection personnel were trained nationwide by the Ghana Police Service for a period of 3 weeks. They were taken through democratic principles, communication skills and basic policing, terrorism, criminal intelligence gathering, and traffic management were also part of the 3 weeks training. So far, 13,114 people have been trained nationwide under the community protection personnel model, with Greater Accra alone training 931. These personnel have been offered a 2-year contract, which is subject to a post-performance review for them to be transferred into the mainstream police service. Those who displayed a dint of hard work were awarded.
And Amnesty International Ghana has bemoaned what it describes as the culture of silence on the campus of the University of Education, Winneba. The human rights organization said at news conference in Accra, authorities in the school have constantly abused the rights of lecturers and students to the extent of illegally evicting some officers of the university.
Amnesty International Ghana says it has followed happenings within the University of Education Winneba since 2017 and started investigations into reported cases of victimization, wrongful dismissal and intimidation. The human rights group insists there are ongoing cases of withholding of staff salaries, rejection of authentic excuse duties, and attempts to dismiss some staff members.
We are concerned that authorities in the University of Education, a higher institution of learning, which is also the center for conflict, human rights, and peace study, can blatantly violate human rights of citizens.
Amnesty International alleged that 2 lecturers of the university have been forcibly evicted from their official residence.
One of the senior staff, Dr. Samuel Ufori-Bequin, was hurriedly dismissed in April on allegation that is being investigated by the police. The police are yet to establish a prima facie case to continue pursuing the case that is pending before the court in Winneba. Following this, the staff was asked to vacate his official bungalow. The university authorities directed that the staff should be forcibly evicted from his official bungalow. while it was raining. With strong winds, the university's authorities and their assigned officials removed the doors to his official bungalow, leaving his items exposed.
The human rights-based organization pledged to compile a report about happenings in the university soon.
In other stories, Samira Bawumia has called on Ghanaians to adopt the habit of voluntary unpaid blood donation. Launching Wala, a mobile blood donation application in Accra, she encouraged the public to consider blood donation as a form of civic responsibility. Wala, which means life in the Ga language, is a mobile blood donation application founded by BISA, a mobile health technology company in partnership with the National Blood Service. The app was developed to complement the efforts of the National Blood Service to ensure an effective and coordinated approach to the provision of safe blood and blood products for patients who require transfusion therapy. The mobile application app, Wala, serves as a database for blood services and news to improve accessibility and bring blood donation closer to the populace. Wife of the Vice President, Samira Bawumia, expressed optimism the launch of the app would help drive voluntary blood donations in the country.
We need to move away from the system of family replacement and paid donors in order to meet the World Health Organization target of 100% voluntary donation.
The National Director at the National Blood Service, Justina Ansa, said voluntary blood donation rates in the country currently stands at 36%, which is woefully inadequate. Minister of Communications Ursula Owusu called on local app developers to develop useful applications that would promote effectiveness in health service delivery in the country.
So I'm delighted that in the health service also, we have this Wala app, which is going to assist the Ghana Blood Service digitize its operations.
Blood donors who use the application would also receive daily health tips to improve their lifestyles and blood services updates, among others.
You're watching News 360 and we will return shortly with some sports news.
Choco, ne down the Yasronko, ne buona da fem. 20 grams, your 50 pesos. 550 grams, your 9 cedis, 50 pesos. 1.1 kilograms, your 18 cedis, 50 pesos. Cadbury Choco, ne down the Yasronko, ne buona da fem.
Nokia 7 Plus receives no less than 6 layers of ceramic field paint. Machined from a solid block of aluminium. 3 ultra-sensitive cameras with Zeiss optics capture every detail, front and back. Shows amazing detail on the 6-inch Full HD Plus screen with an impressive 2-day battery life. This is the new Nokia 7 Plus.
Hello, good evening. It's time to do sports here on News 360. My name is Yao Ofosulabi. Now, one love story has ended at Arsenal and another is ending at Manchester City because midfielder Yaya Toure will leave the Premier League champions at the end of the season. Manager Pep Guardiola says the 34-year-old will make his final appearance against Brighton on Wednesday. Finally, Yaya Toure's time at Manchester City is truly up. Pep Guardiola's side may be earning all the accolades these days with their slick passing, but long before Kevin De Bruyne, there was Yaya Toure. The Ivorian arrived at Manchester City with a big reputation from Barcelona and delivered on all the early promise. He spoke of wanting to help establish the club as a major force in English football. Now he leaves having played a significant part in 2 Premier League title wins and 3 domestic cups.
And this is Toure! Manchester City take the lead!
Guys, is not going to stay next season. Yeah, the Brighton game we're going to make who deserve. The one of the most beautiful firewalls one player can receive, and all that game will be focused on win the game against Brighton and from Yaya, and we are going to try to win the game for him.
Toure has had his issues at Manchester City. He is still mocked for his infamous tantrums at the club's failure to give him a birthday cake once. His agent was at times involved in a relentless public war of words with Pep Guardiola that affected Toure's relationship with the boss. But there is no denying that he was an epic player for them, digging them out of difficult situations with classy free kicks and the expert pass. Whoever signs him up even at 34 will have an absolute gem to count on. Right, so Toure's career is ending at Manchester City, but back now in Ghana.
everyday men, strong and refined. The skincare you deserve. Dream.
Cadbury Choco, ne down the yasronko, ne buona da fem. 20 grams ya 50 pesos, 550 grams ya 9 cedis 50 pesos, 1.1 kilograms ya 18 cedis 50 pesos. Cadbury Choco, ne down the yasronko, ne buona da fem.
And in international news this evening, Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has urged his party to unite after disputed internal polls. Mnangagwa says unity will ensure a thunderous win in the elections set for July, which would allow a ZANU-PF government to provide jobs and tackle corruption.
Mnangagwa took over from longtime ruler Robert Mugabe last November after the 94-year-old leader was forced to resign following a de facto military coup. Certified free and fair by the international community, the presidential, parliamentary and council elections, which date has not been fixed, could lead to resumption of financial aid by foreign leaders for the first time in 2 decades. While launching a ZANU-PF election manifesto in the capital, Mnangagwa said his party's leadership, the Politburo, will review primary election results on Saturday and may order reruns in some constituencies. 7 government ministers and several allies of Mnangagwa were defeated in the polls this week.
And in our international news tonight, House Republicans have nominated Donald J. Trump for the 2019 Nobel Peace. The lawmakers claim this would recognize his work to end the Korean War, denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, and bring peace to the region. However, international relations lecturer with the Webster University, Agnes Ko GC, in an interview with Natalie Fort, said the Nobel Peace Prize should be won by the people of North and South Korea in recognition of their long suffering.
To potentially having something happen with respect to the Korean Peninsula that can get rid of the nuclear weapons.
Trump has been very unpredictable, as we know, about his foreign policies. If, in fact, he has any consistent policy to speak of at all, it's very clear that ever since Trump took power, nothing of his policy has actually worked. So, in fact, it is really a gift for him, it's a blessing for him that this one works. You know, it is going to be the sort of kudos, something that he can hold up in his report card, that finally he has achieved something positive since he took over power. Trump should win a Nobel Peace Prize. I think, in fact, it is the people of North and South Korea should really win this Nobel Peace Prize for the very fact that they have endured a war that was always threatening at the brink of breaking out for 70 years and managed to maintain peace despite the very unconducive and sometimes very threatening, challenging geopolitical structures and dynamics around them, you know, being caught in the whole dynamics of the superpowers, Japan, China, Russia, and the United States. They held on well. It is actually Kim Jong-un that really holds the key from the start to the end of the process.
So we'll bring you the full version of this interview in our subsequent bulletins. It's now time for some entertainment news.
Hello and thank God it's Friday. Let's do some entertainment news here on NEWS360. My name is Miriam Osei Ajman. Now you remember that just ended Vodafone Ghana Music Awards. Award-winning reggae dancehall artist Samini adored a new member of a high-grade family. The entertainment desk here at TV3 has been speaking to Dion Boache, and we've been finding out what her prospects are with a high-grade family.
Having been influenced by the likes of Bob Marley, Kojo Enchi and other great music legends, the budding Afropop singer and songwriter Gideon Adade Boakye, aka Dion Boakye, created his major hit music at a tender age.
And my dad and mom used to be in a choir, so having music around me was obvious. And I've been listening to some people like Bob Marley, Kojo Enchi, so I had interest in it. And I quite remember the first time I knew I could sing was when I was singing Bob Marley's song, Turn Your Lights Down Low, and my dad was like, hey, Kofi, what is that doing? And that was it.
How old were you then?
I was very, very, very young. So that has been the journey. We did our first song in Kumasi, which was Alewa.
All my exes, all my haters, all my enemies. Girl, when I come back, hold on to me like a handbag.
After his significant stride as a young artist, Dion decided to quit school, but was encouraged to go back to school by his father.
Because after Alewa, I didn't want to go to school. After Alewa, I was here, so yeah, because then my first show was in Tamale. I know. Was very huge. Saying that time, I went to that show with Kaboom, Flokin. It's your home school party, met us a party. So I had issues with my dad, and the only way I could move on was to go to school. But trust me, the graphic designing I learned in school is one major thing helping me now. I got to know about branding, marketing and everything with the graphic design, and I don't regret that decision.
Dion Boakye seems to have sung his way deep into the hearts of music lovers. His Afrobeat high life tune is prominent on Ghanaian radio and TV stations.
Well, for somebody who comes from a musical family, the expectations are quite high, but we wish Dion Boakye the very best. Before we end News 360, a look at how our cartoonist Tilapia captured the major news items of the week through his lens. Well, at least I know that put some smile on my face. I hope it did too. There's more to see from Tilapia and more entertainment news on the 3news.com website. My name is Miriam Osei Ajiman, crossing over to Solace and Isamoni. How you, sir? My favorite was the one with the spine, the single spine thing.
Yeah, that was quite creative.
Yeah. Before, for a minute, I thought it was a fishbone.
Obviously, it wasn't in the spine.
Your lenses are different, isn't it?
My lenses are quite different.
Well, that's how we wrap up News 360 here on TV3. My name is Solis Rose Corte.
I'm Isamoni. Thanks for watching. There will be news at 10 later tonight and more updates on 3news.com.